Jinwoo stepped out of the instant dungeon, reflecting on how far he had come. He realized that the only thing he needed now was the purified blood of the Demon King. Understanding the importance of this task, he knew he must be completely prepared before going after it. As he checked his stats, he noticed a significant boost in his level from his recent adventure. Feeling it was time to stop hiding his true capabilities, Jinwoo decided to have his rank reassessed. The next day he made his way to the assessment center for his rank evaluation. Kikul, his faithful companion, happened to be there, scouting for new recruits. As he casually observed the hunters trying to guess their ranks, he spotted Jinwoo among them. Recognizing him immediately, Kikul contacted the center. Center dropped everything and hurried over. Meanwhile, Jinwoo waited for his turn and overheard a conversation between two nearby hunters. One was trying to calm the other, who seemed nervous about the test. The anxious hunter explained that he needed a higher rank. Another hunter reassured him that as long as his rank was above E, he'd be fine. When Jinwoo was called in for his test, the examiner assumed he knew the drill, so she instructed him to place his hand on the black crystal and wait. Jinwoo followed the instructions, but the machine malfunctioned. An error message popped up, and the examiner asked him to try again. She reset the machine multiple times, but nothing changed. The examiner's boss walked in, saw the situation, and realized the issue wasn't mechanical. The machine simply couldn't measure Jinwoo's magical power. His energy had surpassed what the device could handle, meaning it couldn't give an accurate reading. The examiner was taken aback and started to connect the dots. Jinwoo had officially become the 10th S-rank hunter in the country. Outside the evaluation center, Mr. Troy approached Jean Shul to ask about the investigation into the winged creature. Jean Shul explained that they were still comparing new and old samples, but more time was needed to determine the creature's origins. Mr. Troy then brought up the recent Red Gate incident, pointing out how the White Tiger Guild allowed a non-member to join the raid and even take down the boss. Curious, he asked Jean Shul if he knew who the mysterious person was. Jean Shul admitted he didn't know. Mr. Troy was somewhat disappointed but soon noticed the commotion inside the center. Intrigued, he and Jean Shul entered the building and learned about Jinwoo's rank reassessment. The examiner told Jinwoo he would need to return in 3 days for another reassessment with specialized gear. At that moment, Mr. Troy and Jean Shul entered the building. Sensing Jinwoo's overwhelming presence, Mr. Troy deduced that he was the one causing all the buzz. Eager to recruit him, Mr. Troy stepped forward to introduce himself, but Jinwoo simply walked past him without saying a word. The entire room was stunned by the unexpected snub. Mr. Troy, bewildered, asked Jean Shul if he had forgotten to properly introduce him. Jean Shul reassured him that he had, but moments later Becker arrived at the center, panting from running as fast as possible. Seeing him in such a hurry, Mr. Troy immediately put everything together. Jinwoo must have been the one who cleared the Red Gate. This realization only confirmed his belief that Jinwoo was truly extraordinary. Choosing not to linger, Mr. Troy left the building. That night, Jinwoo sat silently beside his mother, watching her sleep peacefully. Before leaving her room, he whispered, "Wait for me just a little longer." Outside, he encountered Jean Shul, who greeted him with an unexpected confession. Jean Shul admitted that Jinwoo had completely changed his perspective. As part of the surveillance division, Jean Shul's job was to monitor hunters and bring those who broke the law to justice. In the past, he was confident in his ability to judge people, but Jinwoo had shattered that confidence, proving him wrong. As Shul stopped him, saying there was someone who wanted to meet him. Moments later, Gani, the chairman of the Hunter Association, appeared. He introduced himself and congratulated Jinwoo on becoming an official S-rank hunter. Jinwoo looked confused, prompting Gani to explain that the reassessment was merely a formality. The moment the machine failed to measure Jinwoo's power, his S-rank status was essentially confirmed. Gani then extended an invitation to Jinwoo, offering him a prestigious position in the association. He explained that while the association managed a vast number of hunters, only a few were truly exceptional. Most hunters were drawn to guilds for fame and money. Even Jean Shul, one of their best experts, was only an A rank. The association was in dire need of someone more powerful. Gani proposed that Jinwoo join the association and transform it into the 6th major power, capable of holding the guilds in check. Jinwoo, intrigued by the offer, seriously considered it. Gani, the first S-rank hunter in the country, radiated overwhelming power, and Jinwoo realized that despite his age of over 80, Gani still carried the strength to rival him. However, Jinwoo refused the offer. Gani assumed that Jinwoo, like many others, was choosing money, but Jinwoo surprised him by stating otherwise. Jinwoo explained that he longed for battle and that the dungeon was where he truly belonged. Hearing this, Gani's heart raced, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. He mused that if he were 10 years younger he would have loved to fight alongside someone like Jinwoo. Realizing he couldn't sway Jinwoo's decision, Gani decided not to press further. Jinwoo thanked him for the offer and took his leave. As Jinwoo walked away, Gani lamented that even S-rank healers couldn't reverse aging, leaving him stuck with a body past its prime. He then instructed Jin Shul to cancel all of his appointments for the day, wanting time to himself to reflect. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was deep in thought. He knew that he had to become stronger quickly to save his mother. His sense of urgency kept him moving forward, leaving no room for idleness. Across the world, Dan Su, still recovering in a hospital, was preparing for a rematch with Fuan. He was determined to find powerful artifacts to stand a chance against the magical beast. In Korea, Jinwoo searched online for artifacts but found nothing that caught his eye. Most items were too expensive, and he knew he needed to be fully prepared before taking on the demon castle. Jinwoo considered his sphere of avaricious, which could double his magical damage. He realized that some market items could boost magic power by 20% to 30%, but nothing could offer such a significant increase. He also noted that the sphere could fetch a high price if sold, but selling it raised two concerns. As an E-rank hunter, even participating in high-rank raids was off-limits. Just then he came across a job listing from the Hunters Guild, hiring miners for a large-scale expedition with no rank requirement. Surprised, he decided to take the opportunity. Meanwhile, Jin Shul reviewed Jinwoo's file and noticed how drastically different Jinwoo looked from 4 months ago. He questioned whether Jinwoo was a false ranger. However, Jinwoo reassured him, revealing that he had sustained multiple injuries while clearing low-rank dungeons. Jinwoo had become a hunter to fund his sick mother's care and pay for his sister's tuition. Impressed by Jinwoo's devotion, Jin Shul learned that Jinwoo had recently joined the Hunters Guild raid mission but was only a miner, not part of the assault team. Donnie, still puzzled, couldn't figure out Jinwoo's true motives. At the excavation site, the attack team, led by high-rank hunters, was the first to strike. One of them launched a fireball that wiped out a group of chupacabras in seconds. He was so strong that many tanks had to block his blast. After clearing everything except the boss, the team called it a day. Jinwoo quickly recognized him as a powerhouse and suppressed his presence to avoid being noticed. Behind the high-rank hunters was Jaha-in, the vice master of the Hunter Guild, known as the Ballerina. Jinwoo was impressed by her aura, though she wasn't far behind. Sensing a strong presence, she assumed it was President Go, so Jinwoo activated full stealth mode to avoid detection. As the miners extracted mana stones, Jinwoo's attention turned to the boss room. He was eager to see it, wishing he could face the boss at least once. However, his E-rank status prompted whispers among the other miners, questioning whether he was really E-rank. Despite their comments, Jinwoo continued working with impressive strength, drawing attention. After some time, the leader called for a lunch break, and the others left the dungeon. But Jinwoo stayed behind, determined to finish his work before resting. When the leader invited him to join them, Jinwoo declined, focused on clearing his mining area. As the others exited, Jinwoo's expression sharpened with determination. He saw this as his chance to face the boss. As he approached the boss room, he couldn't suppress his excitement. Just before stepping in, he was stopped by Chahat. Her voice rang out sharply, asking, "What the hell are you doing here?"